Traders, this video is all about Ghost Feed. Now you can see my mouse is right here hovering over Ghost Feed, and I'm going to go ahead and click. Here we are, click. I've got the tool activated because it's highlighted blue, so I've got Ghost Feed right here. Now the first step I want to do is click anywhere on the chart. In this example, I'm going to use Ghost Feed to try to map out potential price action and then to statistically study what that price action might look like. So let's just say I'm going to start that map from the current price. So I click. Now, as you can see, I've got this line following me. Well, this line is sort of now my time to determine what I think might happen. So I'm going to be very realistic. I'm going to do slightly sideways to up, slightly sideways to down, slightly sideways to up, maybe one more flush here to test the lows, and then sort of a prolonged return back into the bull market and click. Now, once I'm done, I'm going to double click actually so that the tool is now set on my chart. So now I've got this ghost feed in front of me. Quite literally, it's a ghost feed. It's not real trading. I'm just able to visualize and map out what the trading might look like. Because after all, how can you really see the candles like this on the chart otherwise? The trading hasn't happened yet. It's into the future. None of this exists. You could use your drawing tool and sort of try to map out what it might look like, but that also doesn't quickly show you the specific candles involved to remind you about the volatility, the price action, the variance, the high and lows that might take place within each individual candle just to get back to this point in time. So with Ghost Feed, though, I can see that. Now, it's very important to say that Ghost Feed is sort of a standard candle drawing tool. There's nothing that goes into it, right? It's just sort of the same pattern, but you can change these candles and how they're constructed accordingly. And so that now you know how the tool works, we're going to dive into some advanced concepts with Ghost Feed and how you can use it. So by the way, when you do have Ghost Feed drawn on your chart, you can click, drag, and hold it anywhere. You can also, for example, copy it and apply it to other points on the chart or to other symbols or asset classes. So I was on a daily chart. Now I'm going down to a 1 minute chart. Let's see if I can paste this here. There it is. But I'm so zoomed in, of course, it's just, right, that's not that easy to see because I took it from a daily chart and I'm applying it to a minute. But the point is you can take Ghost Feed across different time intervals as well, which really makes it quite interesting if you're doing multiple time frame analysis or other forms of research. But to get more into these statistical capabilities now, it's really time to double click on the tool because now we're really going to get into the power of this tool and the capability for you to try to visualize what could happen, prepare for volatility, or to sort of see what's possible. So I'm going to talk about this average, HL, and min ticks and variance. First of all, in this first box here, it says average, HL, and min ticks. It's fairly important to think of average HL, high, low, and min ticks as sort of a what is the average high low of each candle going to be? How should the Ghost Feed be constructed with the high and lows in mind? So watch this. If I change this to 5, look how orderly that is. Because I'm essentially saying keep this, pretty standard, 5 min ticks, high low 5, nothing, don't show me too much. Don't show me too much sort of action in terms of the high-low aspect of each candle. Or maybe I want to see quite a bit of high-low min ticks. I type in 7,500 in this example, and now the action is so wild, it's actually jetting off the chart. Well, that's not very realistic, is it? If NVIDIA moved like this in a short period of time, it would just totally that's just never really been seen before. Maybe it might happen. Maybe that's what you want to study after all. But you can specifically change what you want to see in terms of the candlesticks and their average high low in ticks. So I just changed it to 750. Check it out. But now before I get into the mathematical details of that, let's dive into variance quickly because I have variance set to 100. So if I set variance to 5, what's really interesting here is now I have the high, low, and min ticks, showing the candles with these higher highs and lower lows or just sort of a wider high low. But they're pretty orderly now because I've reduced the variance. Think of maybe variance as volatility. That might be, it's not exact, but one way to think about it. Now it's sort of a pretty, smooth upward trend because the variance is been reduced. It's like just a perfect trend upward. But if you think it's going to be more volatile and bumpy, jack the variance up to 100 to get the entire variance here of these candles. You can even see the swings. It's just more volatile. Well, it's going to come down to you and what you think, and that's kind of the power of this tool. If I change this variance to just 10, well, now it's about as orderly as it gets. So we're getting the same high low in min ticks on each candle, but they're all effectively the same, right? Look at that. You can just see how orderly it is because the variance is only 10. But if we do now 85, now even though we're getting higher, this average high low in min ticks has been increased, the variance has just made it more volatile. So that's a way to draw out the ghost feed according to your expectations. Do you think volatility is going to be high? Do you think the swings will be huge? Or do you think the swings will be somewhat muted and just sort of tighter in their specific patterns? Well, you could do just that, and this is now how it's going to look. Now, if I double click here, I can also go to style. Sometimes it's a bit easier to see the candles by increasing the transparency. So it is important that you have the ability to sort of make the ghost feed more prominent on your chart or not. So double click, transparency. We got this now up to the max. You can also change the candles as well if you want them to sort of mimic more so the candles on your chart. See that? Look at the similarity now. They're practically, right? They're practically the same thing. They're a little different though. Actually, if you look closely here, my min ticks and my variance are actually not large enough. So look how large these candles are and look at the variance recently. And then take a look at my ghost feed. Even though the candles are colored nicely, the candles just aren't large enough and the variance isn't really matching up with some of this volatility. Even this move here is a little extreme. It doesn't appear it's going to be going that high, that orderly based off of this price action. But you can make these same judgments. So I've got my ghost feed here fully colored in. Maybe though, for example, you want your ghost feed to actually stand out a bit more, right? You don't want to get confused. You want to make sure that you have your eyes on the real price action and then the ghost feed mapped out price action. I gave it this white border, so I just can't miss it. I'm actually going to lift this up. And the reason why I'm doing that is perhaps there's sort of this trend line. Let's see. Maybe actually what's going on here in this example is I'm sort of building this trend line out that this most recent low will actually hold. So we can do this. And now we can map out the price action with the trend line in mind, holding here. So pretty neat if you're looking to draw out what you think might happen. And then, of course, if you want to try to make it match the previous price action, well, you're going to want to make sure you get your min ticks right. That still actually doesn't look large enough. The moves lately have been way larger. We're getting a little closer here. Maybe just reduce the variance just a tad. Let's up this one more time to make the candles a little bigger. And let's reduce the variance one more time, 55. Let's see here. You can see now it looks a little bit more. You can see here, now look at this prior price action. Now look at this ghost feed price action. I've really matched up the min ticks high low in the variance now. It's not perfect, but it's close. And the reason why I'm doing that after all is because I want to try to, this is what I think is going to happen. I want to be prepared for this volatility. Now I can see the size of each candle. Like, get ready. These candles are pretty enormous. It's not just as simple. You buy the dip and it just goes straight up. You can actually now see, thanks to Ghost Feed, the sheer, volatility that could come with this potential trade. So it's a wonderful tool for these purposes. Now, there's another use case for Ghost Feed that I want to be sure I show you. And that use case is sort of copying past price action. Now, in a prior video, I fully covered the bars pattern tool, which is just fantastic for literally copying and pasting certain movements from the chart and dragging them anywhere, and of course, flipping them or mirroring them, anything that you see fit. Also, by the way, you have similar high-low capabilities. You can even turn it into a line if you'd rather look at it as a line chart. But Ghost feed's interesting because rather than now copying that exact price action, so let's say you use bar's pattern, right? I just showed you, you're copying that exact price action. Well, you can go to ghost feed, and what's so interesting about ghost feed is now what you're doing is you're saying, okay, let's try to find a similar, let's try to find some similar price action to this. Found this low, found this low. Maybe we want to use sort of these two moves. So you can click here as your starting point. Click here as your ending point. Click here as your starting point. Click here as your ending point. Click here again as your next ending point. Double click to turn the tool off. Now, this started here from July 11th, 2024, all the way to November 2024. Now we have the tool selected. Now we can try to find some sort of movement here that isn't exactly like bar's pattern, but maybe shares the similarities. So actually quite interesting. You can see here, if we take this high and paste it over to this low and paste it over, it doesn't match up perfectly because actually you can see the low in this case was a whole lot higher than this current low. But, nothing is, going to be perfect in trading. Nothing's certain. Nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's going to match up perfectly. But if you wanted to try to find some action here, let's actually bring this up to 750 for the volatility. Let's make the variance to 60. Let's see here. You can start to see how actually the variance, look at that, brings the low. You can see now this low is here. This low is here. You can start to see now sort of some similarities between the two moves. And so maybe, just maybe, if you think that this is the low and you think this sort of price action might repeat, well, there is possibility for truly quite a bounce if history is any guide. But this is not advice. This is not a guarantee. This is just for education and information. Keep in mind, markets are unpredictable, but it's a way for you to at least try to visualize different possibilities. So kind of interesting, right? And also in terms of visualizing those profitabilities, you're able to see sort of this, like this is a red bar, red bar, red bar. So you can kind of be reminded like, hey, even though this move might happen and it might go higher, buckle up for the volatility. That does not look like easy trading, even though it's going up pretty consistently. In fact, by following this, you'll see even if you buy this dip perfectly, Ghost Feed, just through the share variance and mint ticks we inputted, is still showing two lows that are lower than this low before it's able to really march higher. So Ghost Feed can be a wonderful tool for this type of research, and be sure you give it a try. You can find it right here in Forecasting and Measurement Tools, Ghost Feed. I haven't added actually to my favorites toolbar, so let me make sure I get out of this. Here's my favorites toolbar. Here's Ghost Feed. I can click, 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 access it at any point. And by the way, when you get started with Ghost Feed, I do want to remind you all it's important to make sure you double click on the tool and go through inputs and style to get a feel for it. As always, coordinates, you can literally select the exact coordinate that you want each click to go through. So this one is 86.45. Well, if I change this to 90, watch what's going to happen. This is going to pop. Ready? Pop. If I change this to 100, this second point is going to drop. So you can actually dial in the coordinates on exact round numbers or numbers you're interested in. And then, of course, visibility, as always, is showing you if you want this Ghost Feed to appear on different time intervals. So I'm on a daily chart. Maybe I don't want it on a daily chart. I only want to see it on minutes and hours. You can do that. So go ahead and get started with this tool. And as always, let us know if you have any comments or questions or insights, anything of the sort. And we are here to listen to your feedback and ultimately build great tools for you. So if there's something you need or want, be sure to let us know. Write it in the comments. And remember, our Help Center has tons of educational videos about Ghost Feed and other tools on TradingView and articles, as does our YouTube channel with over 300 educational videos. Thanks so much for watching.